Coming up on Network Africa. Political party campaigns wrap up ahead of Wednesday's national elections in South Africa. Protesters in Burkina Faso demand a 10-year extension of military government's transition term. Plus, residents voice concerns over Benin Republic-Niger border closure and the oil export blockade. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in South Africa, where the four main political parties in the country have held their final campaigns ahead of general elections on Wednesday, the 29th of May. Ruling party, the African National Congress President Cyril Ramaphosa, affirmed that the governing party is well aware of the harsh realities faced by millions of South Africans. He made this statement while addressing thousands of supporters at the party's Siyakoba rally at the FNB Stadium over the weekend. Mr. Ramaphosa's comments come amidst criticism of the ANC for not effectively addressing various socio-economic challenges. Our South African correspondent, Innocent Samosa, reports.
Well, it's the final stretch, a final push before the May 29 crucial elections. The African National Congress came to Soweto, the biggest township in South Africa, to basically flex its muscles with what they call Siyanqoba rally, which simply means we are winning. Rounding off the 2024 election campaign with Siyanqoba rally, which featured a carnival parade celebrating South Africa's culture and diversity. Addressing his supporters, President Cyril Ramaphosa stated that throughout the campaign, his party has noted the challenges raised by South Africans and is committed to addressing them.
We have listened and understood the desire of our people for a better future.
Ramaphosa outlined 6 key priorities over the next 5 years.
The ANC will focus on 6 priorities, just 6 issues to take our country forward. Over the next 5 years, working with all South Africans, we will implement a jobs plan to put more South Africans to work. We will build our industries and invest in an inclusive economy. We will tackle the high cost of living. We will invest in our people and provide services that our people need. We will continue to defend our democracy and advance the freedom that we fought so hard.
Voters are confident of outright majority and they're asking the ANC to address the following economic challenges.
We are confident in getting 50+1%. I believe that every member of this great organization has done their own groundwork.
You know, when we go out and vote on the 29th of May, we must also have an appreciation that there has been work that's been done over the last 30 years. And so the ANC will then be committing to continue on the good work that they've done going forward.
I asked the question, why should people continue voting for the ANC?
That question is always there every time. ANC is the one which is winning. It is winning. Whether you go which way, but ANC at the end, it will win. It's better the devil that you know.
No, I think the people who are complaining about the ANC is the people who doesn't know exactly the politics. Because in the history of our country, because the ANC is the only party which their constitution is fair and equal to everybody in the country.
President Ramaphosa and the ANC leadership can only hope to translate these numbers into votes. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
Well, several other opposition parties also held their last rallies across the country. Supporters of South Africa's Umkhonto weSizwe MK party gathered in KwaZulu-Natal on Saturday ahead of the critical elections. The MK party, founded by former President Jacob Zuma, who is now 82, aims to make a significant impact in the upcoming elections. At the rally, supporters passionately endorsed the party's vision. Simultaneously, another group of MK party supporters in the Eastern Cape gathered to pray for the party's success. Des Van Rooyen, the interim leader of the party, emphasized the importance of their candidate, Jacob Zuma.
Our candidate is one, that is Comrade President Jacob Zuma. And that's why we are saying our masses, and we are working very hard, that our masses must go out in their numbers and make sure that we win these elections with two-thirds majority. And through that process, we can then ensure that the only person that the South Africans want to see as the president of this country get elected when we go to parliament.
Meanwhile, in Polokwane, thousands of economic freedom fighters, EFF supporters, gathered at the stadium for the party's final election rally. Mr. Julius Malema, the fiery leader of EFF, thanked his supporters for their unwavering backing, claiming a successful campaign. He also spoke on the main challenges facing the country.
I am here to conclude the campaign of the EFF. I'm here to say to you, we have run a good race. We are here today because we ran a very successful campaign. The ground forces of the EFF have made everybody aware that there is a child called the EFF who must be given an opportunity to lead. Now, the people of South Africa must decide if they want unemployment. They must decide if they want load shedding. They must decide if they want to remain landless. The people of South Africa, it is now in your hands. We live here very proud that we did everything to make our generation very proud.
And in Richards Bay, the Inkatha Freedom Party, IFP, held its rally with the leader, Velenkosini Labisa, calling for a change from the ruling party, ANC. South Africans vote for parties and not directly for their president in national elections. The parties then get seats in parliament according to their share of the vote, and the lawmakers elect the president. All the political parties have concluded their campaigns ahead of what could be a pivotal election, marking a potential turning point for the country after 30 years.
Our people have watched us as South Africa was undermined by those who were entrusted to fulfill the promise of democracy. We have seen our country decline by every measure, becoming poorer, more dangerous, less stable, more debt-ridden, less just, and less respected throughout the world.
Now, special voting in South Africa also commenced today, catering to all those who have registered for special status in the elections. Party agents, the elderly, the sickly and incarcerated are all taking part in the elections across the country. Also, people living with disabilities. Now, special elections are for people who, for some reason or the other, are not able to vote on May 29th. Special vote allows a registered voter who can vote at their voting station on election day to apply to vote on a predetermined day before election day. Away from South Africa's election, dozens of Burkinabés have rallied in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, to demand a 10-year extension of military leader Captain Ibrahim Traore's transition term. Now, this is after the military ruler announced an extension of 5 years to his regime. Protesters rallied as security personnel monitored the demonstration, characterized with dancing, holding up signs and waving Burkina Faso flags. The state-owned broadcaster reported that the country's ruler will also be able to contest the next presidential election. When he seized power in a coup nearly 2 years ago, Captain Traore pledged to return the civilian government by the 1st of July this year. But Burkina Faso has now joined neighboring Mali in extending military rule. The move was announced on Saturday after a national consultation meeting in the West African country's capital city. An amended charter signed by the ruler states that the new 60-month transition period will take effect from the 2nd of July this year. Let's discuss this further. Joining us now is security and defense analyst David Otto. Hello, David. Thank you so much for your time. An extension of 5 years on the military rule in Burkina Faso. Did you see this coming?
Well, I think everyone saw it coming. The military junta there needs to consolidate power. Of course, it is very difficult for them to relinquish power this time. Remember when the coup happened in September of 2022, one of the agreements which the military junta made with the then outset, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry, Damiba, was that they will, have a transitional period of 2 years. So that transitional period was meant to expire in July of 2024. But of course, the military junta understands that if it does in any way go towards the transitional period, then a lot of the agreements that have been made, for example, the establishment of the Confederation of States, which is now a talk of the day in the Sahel, the kicking out of the French, the establishment of the Alliance of Sahel States, which of course, it's more or less a defense pact. The military junta does not have any guarantees that if it does, in any way, hand over power to a civilian government. All these alliances that have been formed with, Niger Republic and Mali are going to be, honored. But I think most importantly, it is on a survival mood as well. Because, if you take away power from a military government rather than from a civilian government, then of course you have what you call potential for an internal threat from the military itself. So it is trying to, what the young man and the captain, Ibrahim Traore is trying to do is just to consolidate power to ensure that he can be there for quite a long time, while he tries to figure out what happens next.
And we're even seeing the citizens calling for an even longer extension to 10 years. What do you think this means?
Well, it depends on the rhetoric. The Burkinabés have been driving this rhetoric of, a revolutionary leader who has come in to kick out the colonialists, the likes of France, the likes of the UN missions, now they are coordinating with Niger to kick out the US government presence, in Camp 201. So the people see this leader as some kind of a revolutionary leader who, they want him to stay for a much more longer period. So, again, it could be just the military's own tactics, to bring out a section of the population to drive this idea. But, when you talk to the people of Burkina Faso or the people of Burkina Faso, what you hear is that they believe that this is, some kind of a revolution against the colonialists. And Captain Ibrahim Traore does represent that, revolutionary that, was once thought about by people like Thomas Sankara. So he's driving a very strong narrative, and the people, or majority of the people that we can see, are buying it. But remember that the opposition has kicked against and boycotted this constitutional change. And they are saying that, it is simply from the playbooks, of Chad. What happened in Chad with, Mahatma Mahatma Idris, the son of former Idris Deby, who, did the same thing. He took power from his father unconstitutionally, and now he has run and won, become some kind of a Democrat, overnight.
Indeed, David. But just very quickly, would this have any impact on the security situation in the Sahel?
Well, it depends on the reaction of, blocs like ECOWAS. I mean, ECOWAS has often, denounced these military regimes. They've talked about even the possibility of invading Niger at some point. I mean, that was backtracked, to a point where ECOWAS has requested for them to come back. But, I don't see a way forward, for ECOWAS in terms of, clipping the wings of these military juntas. What I see here is that, they will continue to form their alliance, deal with the insecurity, by the club of Sahelian states. And perhaps, we would see how the insecurity unfolds. But that was one of the major reasons why they claimed that they took power. So we've got to see, taste the pudding, when we eat it.
All right, then. Thank you so much, a security and defense analyst, David Otto.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the program. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, says there's an urgent need for a paradigm shift in terms of how issues of migration is addressed. IOM spokesperson Peggy Walters says this is because conflict, climate change, and economic fragility has faltered with forced migration at its highest levels globally. The organization's International Dialogue on Migration, IDM, the first session for this year, has just concluded in New York, pulling together member states to raise the dialogue on how policies and approaches can change.
This underscores migration has long served as a vital force in connecting our world, fostering cultural exchange, driving societal enrichment, and catalyzing growth and innovation. It has been acknowledged as a cornerstone of the 2023 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration. Conflict, climate change, and economic fragility often delays progress towards sustainable development. It has faltered, with forced migration at its highest levels. Millions are displaced by the ravages of climate change, facing compounding vulnerabilities along migration routes. This underscores the urgent need for a paradigm shift in terms of how we approach migration. What we're trying to do is pull together our member states and key participants to raise the dialogue on how we can shift policy and approaches. So we're hoping that once the end of this conference happens, and along with our other key conversations with our member states, we'll be working closely with them on the ground to shift policy.
Tensions are escalating at the Benin Republic-Niger border as Port Novo persists in blocking oil exports from entering the country, and that's preventing Niamey from fulfilling a $400 million oil exporting deal with China. According to local residents, the border closure has had negative impacts on the jobs in Malanville. Traders and Kano operators lament the unfavorable effects the border closure has on them. On May 12, Niger's Prime Minister Ali Zain announced in Niamey that the border with the Benin Republic would stay closed, claiming that the Beninese authorities had violated agreements regarding their joint oil pipeline. Now, after that announcement, hundreds rallied close to the Niger-Benin border to support local authorities' decision to keep the borders closed after Benin blocked oil exports. Now, relations between the two countries have been strained since Benin and other ECOWAS state members imposed sanctions on Niger, including border closures after a military coup in the state last year. Although sanctions were eased in February, Niger reportedly refused to reopen its land borders to Beninese goods. Benin now accuses Niger of failing to fully restore trade relations and declared that it would block Niger's use of its port for crude oil exports unless the land border is reopened. Today is Children's Day, a day initiated by the United Nations Children Agency, UNICEF, to celebrate children. It was adopted by the UN on November 20, 1959, as the day for the Declaration of the Rights of the Children. Nigeria, the day declared public holiday for schools, but is marked with various activities. In the nation's capital, the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is hosting pupils at the banquet hall of the State House to mark the day. Senator Tinubu has reaffirmed the commitment of the president to providing an enabling environment for youth people to participate in the development of the country. She gave the assurance at an interactive meeting with the youths at the State House ahead of the one-year anniversary of the Tinubu administration. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
First Lady Oluremi Tinubu continues her series of engagements in commemoration of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office, this time with the youths. The event, which also has the wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Nana Shatima, and some female appointees of the President in attendance, focuses on how the youths can navigate the pathway to success. The event goes into a panel session during which the panelists encourage the youths to aspire beyond their challenges.
Being a trailblazer, there are so many people looking up to you to succeed, so that whenever their names and their situation is being discussed, there would always be a point of reference that someone of this gender has triumphed, has done something great.
When you have complete faith in your own ideas, I think the world just has a way of just opening up for those people that have the courage to pursue them.
According to the panelists, challenges provide opportunities for greatness.
For you to be able to see these opportunities clearly, you have to have a heart of service. You have to be able to look at the fellow person beside you and think, not just how do I sell them something, but how do I make their lives better?
You can do anything. I mean, you can go to school and actually have a degree and decide to diversify later.
Champion for the underprivileged.
For the First Lady, youth and women development remains top on the agenda of President Bola Tinubu.
We will continue to do our best to provide an enabling environment to foster and support you as active participants in national development and in rewriting Nigeria's story for good. I urge us to keep believing in Nigeria. By the grace of God, we will witness the rebirth of a new nation that will take its rightful place among the community of nations.
The wife of the president also encourages the youths to take their education seriously, while also acquiring skills that will help them compete with their counterparts across the globe. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And here in Lagos, the state government has again assured of its commitment to provide enabling school environments for teaching and learning. The state deputy governor, Kadri Hamzat, made this comment at the 2024 Children's Day celebration, where he gives assurance of school safety with the installation of CCTV cameras in all public schools.
It's the 2024 Children's Day celebration at Police College, Lagos. Children from Lagos State Public Schools are all excited to be here to have fun.
Dr. Kadri Obafemi Hamzat.
May 27th is the date set aside to celebrate children in Nigeria. The Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Kadri Hamzat, and other top government officials are here to celebrate them.
I must let you know that the administration of our governor, Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, has invested enormously in your education by providing all that you need to meet your true potentials. You are the future of our dear state and nation. Therefore, I implore you to continue to challenge yourself and to excel in both academic and co-curricular activities. The state government has put a lot of facilities at your disposal, and you have that to effectively use them to your advantage. We equally acknowledge the role of our teachers in mentoring these children. You are indeed our nation builders, and we salute your commitment.
Know the importance of child education and provide easy access for every child. The Deputy Governor says over 11,000 children have been taken off the streets of Lagos to return to their studies.
To help more children go to school, we have added 9 new schools in very busy and remote areas of our state. These new schools now have 4,588 students, with 2,310 being girls and 2,278 boys. We have also improved many existing schools. Through the Project Zero program, we have helped 11,957 children who are out of school get back to their studies with all the supplies that they will ever need.
This year's theme, Advocate for Children's Safety, Policies and Actions that Protect and Support Children's Well-Being, a major priority for the Lagos State government across all levels.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde. Happy Children's Day.